But I see what it's saying, so I like. Right. I rather it down.
I'd like to call the Board of Education meeting on 1/14/2025 at 6:33 to order. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call. We'll start with Nicole.
Nicole Levine McGrath.
Vic Tomporowski.
Susan Brandon.
Robert Carr.
Mike Kusa, Vinny Cannadella, Steve Kozik.
All right, Joe Iucci and Deb Sherman not present. Excuse me.
Deb's actually.
Oh, I'm sorry, Deb is here.
Deb's on the-
I apologize. Sorry, Deb. All right, do we have any amendments to the agenda? All right, moving on. Approval of minutes. Make a motion to approve the 12/10/24 Board of Education regular meeting minutes.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain, I wasn't there. Opposed? Abstention, that's me. Motion passes. All right. Just make sure I have the right one.
That's the 1 and 3.
Make sure I have the right one. Okay, so this can only be voted on by the 3 board members that were present. I'm gonna make a motion to approve the minutes for the 1/7/25 Board of Education special meeting minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Just one correction where it says call to order, it has chairperson Debbie Sherman listed, and obviously that should be you.
Yes. Make that change. Okay, so we have to amend that motion, correct? Yeah. So I'm gonna make a motion to amend as Nicole indicated. Second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You want to list out who said aye?
Yeah, we should probably go ahead and
Nicole Levine McGrath.
Vic Tomporowski.
Robert Carr.
Were the rest of us abstentions? We have technically, yeah,
So those opposed, abstentions,
everyone else.
everyone else besides the 3 of us. Motion passes. I'll make a motion to approve the 1/7/25 Board of Education special meeting minutes, the second meeting of that night. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Audience of citizens, would anybody like to speak? Would anybody like to speak? And would anybody like to speak? Hearing none, we're gonna move on. Any board of correspondence or
Never receive anything.
Alright, information items, Dr. Miller.
Sure, so I'm gonna invite Dan Batista up. The soccer team raised money for the fire department and for Team Inc. So come on up here. Yeah, and they are presenting the Texas Fire Department tonight. And Team Inc. was supposed to be here tonight and were unable to do so. So we are gonna invite our players up over here. Yeah.
Are you ready to take a picture?
We'll have some Scott here.
My camera skills aren't as good as yours. Don't give me any, literally. They're done.
One of the special things that we can do is to give back to our community. So the fact that you raise money and got it for the brave men and women that are here to serve, protect our community is very special. So on behalf of our district, I want to thank all of you for the efforts that you did for the fire department, for Team Inc. I don't know if you want to say anything about what the work was.
Yeah, part of our mission statement as a boys soccer program is to inspire not only ourselves, but those around us, including our community. And the fire department has inspired us, especially over the events that took place in August. And this is just us giving back to all their efforts that they did to help and support us. So again, thank you, Mr. Pelletier, and your recruitment for all your work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you might be to get a photo op for the check for teaming.
Yes, we'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how much was the fire department?
The fire department for $1,500.
And Team Inc. was 6,000.
Yeah, so
110.
just to explain a little bit, we do a program in November called Give Back November month. So instead of us fundraising in November, we give back to an organization. So in November, we picked the fire department to give back to that organization. Last year, we gave to a food pantry in Oxford for $1,500. And the second check that we have right here for little over $6,100. This was half of all of our fundraising we did over the course of the season. So we made a commitment in August, whatever we fundraise from August, September, October, November, half of that will go towards Team Inc., which they, in turn, help all the families that were affected by the flood. So this is going out to them, and again, for all their efforts and our commitment to, again, the Oxford community. So it's not-
Thanks, guys. Okay, next item is student representative update.
So to celebrate the holiday season, the school organized a door decorating contest across all classes. And so each class basically designed like creative and festive decorations with like some incorporating like unique themes like gingerbread houses. So that was really nice. And then we also participated in the Festival of Trees. So that's an annual event held in OHS. So the class of 2025 organized arts and craft for kids. So things like tattoos, coloring, bracelet making, like candy canes, etc. So this event really like spread holiday cheer, and it was a really nice way to connect with the community. And then this week we held Cookies and Crafts. So it was a program aimed at helping students prepare for their midterms. So students were invited to enjoy cookies while reviewing material, and our peer tutoring program continues to be a great success, with upperclassmen offering one-on-one assistance to peers. So that's also really nice. And then the school's phone policy is also going pretty well. Teachers have been collecting phones at the beginning of class, and students and teachers have both adapted to the policy effectively, and we're seeing positive outcomes, I think, in the classroom environment so far, so that's good. And then at the moment, the class of 2025 has been busy with several initiatives. So we've organized recently and designed senior t-shirts for the class of 25. So that was a really fun and collaborative project for all that brought kind of our class culture together. And then we're also working alongside the class of 2026 to plan a field trip to Boston. So we're trying to make it somewhat educational. So trying to provide students with an opportunity to learn beyond the classroom.
At OHS this Friday, seniors will be presenting their capstone projects. For underclassmen, this is a half day ending at 11. And for seniors, they're going to stay and they're going to present their projects to judges. Next week at OHS, Tuesday through Friday, students have midterms, which there will be 2 midterms per day, and school ends at 11 o'clock. Last Tuesday, January 7th, the OHS Unified team played at halftime of the OHS boys basketball team's game that was at Watertown. And the Unified team played at halftime and at the boys game. And speaking of the boys basketball team, they've won their last 3 games. They're on a 3-game win streak, and they're taking their win streak into their home game tomorrow at 7 o'clock at home against Platte Tech. OHS Best Buddies is a club that I'm a part of, and we're selling snacks during midterms, during the break period between, for any students that would like to buy those. And our OHS school council is having a meeting on Thursday with to plan a club fair to offer more opportunities for students.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I get the date and time again for the capstone? Is that open to the public?
I do not think so. I think,
I'm not the public.
so I think the students present and there's like 5 students per room, 2 judges per room, and then your judges,
Maybe I get discussion. The other, can I ask? you-
Absolutely.
Okay. That's in the notes. Is, as you're going through the day and stuff like that, we look at the high school catalog, or the courses and stuff. I think there's now a mandate that the curriculum has to be published. We talked a little bit about sales and marketing last time. If you could look at that and say, how would I improve it? What would I do? And get the feedback from your classmates. And just say, you know, we really need more here. We need more in logistics. We need more in chemistry. We need things here and that needs to build something that would meet in it. No, that, I would think the board would appreciate that.
Yeah.
Is that possible?
We can do that, yeah.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. The soccer players would like to go, you know, you have to sit here and do this whole thing.
You're welcome to though.
Yeah.
It's really good.
All right, so that's information items. Let's go to action items. Number 6, the MOU request for softball and baseball.
So I have a request from the athletic director to add an assistant coach for softball and assistant coach for baseball. The reason is a couple fold. One, it allows the head baseball coach to split the teams so that the JV can play at the same time, practice at the same time. So from a student safety perspective and to give additional students the opportunity to play. He's requested we add in an additional assistant for both of those teams to make it a budget offset. We did not fill a assistant position for wrestling and volleyball this year. So it's cost neutral to the budget to make this happen. So there's no impact whatsoever. What we need to do is to have a motion tonight to authorize Bobby to sign on an MOU that will be developed by our attorney to create these 2 stipends for this year.
Anybody have anything? Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize our board chair, Bobby Carr, to work with our board attorney on creating an MOU request for softball and baseball for assistant coaches.
Second,
Discussion?
So is this something that will continue, like, is this just for this year, or?
This year we'll have to make some decisions how it works, and it would have to be a new request for next year.
And we didn't have an assistant coach for wrestling
And volleyball,
we didn't have a boys volleyball team, correct?
that's what it is.
And we don't really have a wrestling team, right?
Right.
So
it's budgeted, but was not needed.
all right, anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. 6B, use of central activities funds.
So there's been a request for over a year now or more than a year, to take a look at the bathrooms on that Wolverine Field. We've been studying it. We have put quotes together that could build us a bathroom around $50,000 to $53,000. So the request is to have a motion to use central activity funds up to and not to exceed $55,000 to build the bathrooms in that spot there. This is a separate Board of Education only related activity. This is not the larger bathrooms that the town is looking to build. This is getting the project done.
Nicole, you look like you have a question.
Yeah, I only know one bathroom that's gonna be by the concession stand.
Correct. It'll be 2 fully functional ADA compliant bathrooms that will be in the back half of the snack shack. So snack shack remains intact. It's where there's currently storage. Where you see a sliding garage door. that's where there will be two fully functional ADA compliant bathrooms.
Okay, so
What's another project?
So what you mean is just we're the only group funding this?
That's correct.
As opposed to a collaboration of the town?
The town had been looking to build a separate facility just for bathroom. This makes use of existing facility that's there and retrofits it into bathroom.
Which would
And
cost
could
us.
that possibly happen still, or no, this is it?
The funding for that has been withdrawn about 20 times, from my understanding. And it currently is not available at this time. So if it were to wait for the town's participation, it would be not in this year and potentially not in first half of next year.
And while I've cautioned the board to use, not to use the Center Activity Fund because we need it for budgetary related purpose moving forward. We have from the beginning of the year to now, look at this 55,000 in this range to use Center Activities funds for this project.
So you're okay with?
Yes.
What happens to the stuff that's, all the football stuff that's in
It's
there?
part of that project where they'll be getting a storage unit or container
And what about the ice machine that they put that, all that
that,
effort into?
that's staying.
In the
That,
bathroom?
no, the bathroom. It's being configured. It's part of it. Smarter people than me have
But that's
looked
where
at
it's
the
going.
space.
The bathrooms are going in that shed part where the ice
Right.
machine is.
Yeah, there's gonna be a hallway, they're not using every inch of that whole space, there is room to have the ice machine.
There's no space for it.
Because I thought. I thought on the proposal was one attaching it to the snack shop and then separate.
Separate one was with the town.
That's a much larger project.
Yes.
About double.
More than double.
Potentially more, yeah.
And there's no more talk about putting bathrooms up by the baseball field.
That is not taken off the table, but that's a town project if they want to fund it at this time.
So with the meeting that we had the last time, we had a list of things, $100,000 for mulch and stuff. This is out of that program. We had a list from you,
Potentially.
repairing the train and
Yes,
all that kind of, thing. So now let's just remove from that category. It's not
This
part
is,
of it.
this is from that list.
It is from that list and through the facilities meeting that happened on Friday, we decided to put the rest of that list on the back burner until we are done with the budget. Yes, so I know there was concern on the board about using those funds. Working with Dr. Miller, we decided that we could put that stuff on the back burner so that we know exactly where we're at once we're done with the budget process.
But I
Do you
thought,
want me to make a motion and then we can enter into discussion?
Sure.
Dick's got one more question.
yeah, I thought there was like 250 or 300,000 in that.
240 as of December
240, so we're gonna spend 50,000
Yes,
to your thing. Build a bathroom that may not really suit the needs. You know, if we got $250,000, we're not gonna do that program. Why don't we build a 50,000 separate unit?
We currently have two porta potties that have serviced us as best as porta potties can service us. These will be flushable, workable toilets that we currently don't have ADA compliance down there. These will meet the needs. The difference between what the town was looking to put together, because I was on that committee, was for 3 bathrooms. That we only have room for 2 in the snack shack. And the goal is that 2 now is better than 3 in some date in the years to come. I've been trying to get the bathrooms done for 6 years and I have failed miserably. And to get 2 would be an incredible win. Because I mean, I won't show the pictures, but the pictures are horrific of what happens when we have a football game and
I've been-
but when you have Pop Warner the next day or 2 days later. And those bathrooms are in terrible shape and we have these little girls
yeah,
for the cheerleading, it's horrific conditions and
Who's gonna be responsible for cleaning these?
it'd be, from my understanding, it'd be factored into the maintenance. That we have throughout the whole high school. It'd be
Because
part
they
of the
could get
custodian.
just as nasty as a porta
Well, the
potty.
goal is that it's
Same people using
flushable,
them.
so it'd be,
We've all.
but the design factor was that they would be as easy to maintain as possible. That's part of the initial plan is to choose the right equipment and it's single use. Yeah, powerful flushing,
But my,
so.
one of my points is that I read over that list again, and part of the things on that list was, you know, if we had signs at the swimming meets and different signs in different locations, we would be able to communicate with the public and bring more people into our sports program. That's correct.
Here.
Some of those, yeah.
Some of this, some stuff in there.
Okay, so what I'm saying here is that, you know, those were all valid reasons to do, putting up lights. Okay? I think those reasons are just as valid to have three in a separate, you know, facility than just make a makeshift one at the end of the snack shack. I'm just saying, I'm in favor of doing a one good unit with 4 toilets and it would part of that $200,000, whatever it's there, instead of, you know, just nibbling at the edges, putting another, you know, you're putting in mechanical porta potties. Basically.
So did I understand you correctly when you said that it's up to $55,000 for this plan, which would be single-use bathrooms? If you did the larger one, it would be considerably more than that.
I would say somewhere between $25,000 to $50,000.
I was under the impression it was.
It'd be about 150, and we'd be splitting that cost. So,
And what's making
In-
it so cheap? Like, why are we?
because we have existing sewer and water there already. So you wouldn't have to do that. You would have to, I'm assuming you would have to reroute, depending on where they want to place the new bathroom facility. Or at least add pipe, which is gonna add to costs. Honestly, this has been bouncing around between the town and the Board of Education for 2+ years. And yet,
Yeah, I know they've been talking about.
so
doing a
this
facility
is,
down
this
there, but-
is, this is a solution so that when porta potties get used at the football game on Friday, the Pop Warner kids don't walk into that mess.
Or graduation.
Or graduation,
Soccer.
or soccer games, yes.
The only way we're gonna get it done is if we fully fund it ourselves. But does that mean we have control over the design, or do we still have to consult with whoever was on that other?
No, we would have complete control over it.
It would be approved by the town
Yeah.
inspectors.
And I have numbers if you want here. Do we have a motion? Actually, I'm sorry. I'm gonna do the motion, then if somebody would like to say something, we'll do discussion right after, okay? All right.
I'd like to make a motion for the Board of Ed to authorize using funds from the Central Activities Fund to pay for a district bathroom to be designed at the Wolverine Field inside the snack shack for not exceed $55,000.
Do we have any further discussion?
So this is, the 55 include then what it's gonna cost to get a shed to store all of the
That's
football stuff?
factored in there, yes.
And where's that shed gonna go?
I do not know, but it will not be,
Inconvenient.
it will not interfere with anything, from my understanding. I don't have the exact location. It could be diagonal from where, because there are currently storage
Yeah, the
sheds or
storage
storage
shed and then the
units.
propane tanks are all down there.
So it could be next to one of those. Or in Westfield, I do not know the exact location.
Frankly, if we can get this done, maybe we work with the Booster Club and the Quarterback Club to make sure that you guys are happy with everything and where it's going. I'd be more than willing to do that.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing that's gonna be a coordination between the AD and the
Because we tried, when you guys put the water in for the ice machine, we had asked for water in the snack shack, so we could have running water in there, and that seemed to be an issue, so now I just don't understand why we can put in bathrooms when we couldn't even get running water.
The process has been a long one, and we just decided that we were gonna get this done. But I do want to make sure that the district works with the board, with the boosters and the Quarterback Club, make sure everything's copacetic and everybody's happy. Which is the goal. Okay. All right, anybody else? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. Superintendent report, Dr.
Okay,
McKay.
good evening. So we heard a few minutes ago that we're nearing the end of the first semester. There are high school students who are getting ready for their midterm exams, so good luck to our high school students. We are actually getting the official public portion of 25-26 budget process. So we have been working internally for a couple months now, putting the budget together. On the 28th of this month will be our budget workshop. That's when we bring in our principals and our directors to present to the board and to the general public their individual budgets, and then they roll up to the overall district number. I have invited the Board of Finance to that meeting, as we've done the last several years, so they have been invited to that. We would like them to be here so they can understand how the budget is put together. That will be 2 weeks from tonight.
What's the date of that?
The 28th. We will be doing that meeting starting at 5:30, instead of having a traditional start time at 6:30 that evening. Speaking of the Board of Finance, there is a combined Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance meeting tomorrow night, a special meeting at 7 p.m. That is to vote on the funding for the HVAC project for Baker Farms and the HVAC project for the roof, or sorry, over the cafeteria into the gym for this building. So that project was approved to sign the contract last Wednesday at a Board of Selectmen meeting, pending approval of funding. So the next step is the meeting tomorrow night at Town Hall. I encourage board members to be there, encourage our general public to be there as well to show support for this very needed project in the school.
What time is that?
That'll be at 7 p.m. at Town Hall. I shared information with parents, I shared information with the staff, I shared information with the board. Last week, there's a public unveiling from PowerSchool that there's a massive data breach that impacted almost every user that has their services, whether it be hosted at their site or hosted at individual school facilities. Originally, it was just on their site, and then they expanded that further. We are waiting for information. They have told us that they will be arranging for identity protection for those stakeholders that have their data that has been breached. We are waiting for that. According to PowerSchool, they contracted a third party to scrub the data. According to Grace they provided to us, there's not information still out there in the public for where this went to. It has been cleansed. It was a security threat that was a result of somebody on their staff. Not anybody in a school district, not our school district. It was something from the PowerSchool side that resulted in the data breach, but it has been buttoned up and secured, and that threat is no longer in existence. I announced to the public, to the board, that our coordinated student contact, Dave Becca, we received an offer as an assistant principal in another school district. He left the district a week and a half ago, but he's left. We have posted that position internally, and we anticipate filling that position within the next 4 or 5 days with an internal candidate, and that should free up that person to go into that position so that we really back into having that coordinated student contact back in operation in Boston shortly. A reminder to parents that January 17th is Friday, is an early release day for professional learning for our staff, so that all stakeholders that work in the district have professional learning. That's one of our monthly planned PD sessions. And then also a reminder to everybody involved that Monday 20th is a holiday, so all schools and offices are closed in the district.
Thank you. Audience of citizens. Anybody wanna?
Go ahead. I would just like to thank Dr. Miller. There's been a lot of really great consistency. I'm thinking of our monthly not board meetings, but our parent little meetings that we have with Dr. Miller. And I just really want to say thank you because it's bringing a lot of transparency between different administrators in the district. Understanding what Eric does, understanding what meeting the different principals at different levels has been really helpful. Like my kids aren't in high school. I don't know, what always happens there. Or when I got to meet Miss Owlette and, getting to talk to different people and understand their positions within the district has been really helpful. And as a parent, I feel like there's a lot of questions. And Dr. Miller, thank you for always being willing to answer those questions with full transparency. And just, I'm in a lot of town meetings and it's been really great to see Rob there supporting the school and making sure that kids' students are getting fed, both at a town level and at a district level, so thank you.
Could you just state your name and your address?
Yep, Molly Smith, 24 Good Hill Road.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay. Report of the chair or designee. So a couple things. When, in October, when Deb stepped down and I took over, I asked if I could get a PTO rep, and we still don't have one at this point. So I'm kind of looking for volunteers. If I could get one, if I can't get a volunteer tonight, I can't go on Thursdays. Their meeting is on Thursday night. So if I could get one person to go Thursday night to represent the board, I don't remember exactly what it is. I think it's at 7 o'clock, 6:30. I will try and do the rest of them as long as it's not on Thursdays. It's just a really bad.
Most of your meetings are Thursdays.
So, if you don't wanna, if you wanna think about it and get back to me, that would be great. Nobody's looking me in the eye right now, so I don't think I'm gonna get anybody. At the very least, maybe we could, bring a PTO member, or the president in, and maybe they could do a report during our thing, but we do need to have some type of relationship with them, in contact with them so that we can, work together as two ends. Dr. Miller brought it up. If you can attend the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen meeting tomorrow night, please do. I will be there. I think it's very important that we get representation from the full board if we can. It worked very well last year when we had all members there. And to kind of go even further, once we get the budget rolling, we have a meeting with the Board of Finance and ourselves on the 28th. When a Board of Finance has a meeting about our budget, we should all try and be there if we can be there. Same thing with Board of Selectmen meetings as well. And that's, unfortunately, I was not able to attend the meeting in December because I was sick. Apologize for that. That usually doesn't happen. And we've been budget since the middle of December, so. And that's all I have for everybody. Subcommittee reports, yes.
I will have to, very cautiously that you say maybe on the PTO.
Okay. Why don't you think about it and then text me tomorrow? I would love it if you could attend.
Because I think it's a link that's necessary
Absolutely.
and I don't know what to get into, so she says now. But I tried to make eye contact, so I didn't have to do it verbally, but.
Okay, thank you, Victor, I really appreciate that. Anybody else? Subcommittee reports, facilities, Joe's not here, Mike, you want to take over?
So we had a meeting, what was it, past Friday, so, on the 10th. Just some highlights that Joe provided, for me to share. Press box needs work done, middle school outfield light poles need protective mats, quote to follow at a later date. Middle school baseball field still having drainage issues. I think that's gonna be a consistent report until it's rebuilt from the ground up. Go central office bathroom heaters are on order. RFP for Go's HVAC going to Board of Finance this week for approval, as Bobby mentioned. RFP for Quaker HVAC to follow. And I'd just like to personally thank everyone for considering and approving the bathrooms. It has been an avalanche, a lot of work being done. Dr. Miller has helped make this possible. We did a water project, was it two and a half, 3 years ago?
4 years ago.
To get water down to the field so we can have an ice machine to help keep athletes safe in August. We've done a lot of work to make that happen. I think George Renzoni will help the process at one point for the drainage and be forward thinking on making sure that whatever we could do to make the bathrooms a reality, we would. So we've spent money wisely, and I think this has been a very effective project. And I can tell you that the cheerleaders, the little girls are really gonna appreciate not ever having to use one of those porta potties down at that field. I mean, you should see some of the little ones, the junior tiny mites, they're 4 years old. They're the cutest things to walk this planet. And when they all go into line, like, oh, it's time to use the bathroom, it breaks my heart every time they have to walk into one of the porta potties. So we're doing a great service to this town. So.
Thanks, Mike. Deb, curriculum and technology?
If she's feeling it.
If you're
I'm
feeling.
here. I'm here, but I'm gonna ask Dr. Miller to do the course, because you guys don't want to listen to this voice. We have tentatively scheduled the next curriculum meeting for February 3rd. So take it away, Dr. Miller.
So there are three course proposals you have in the agenda. One is for mobile apps, the second is for web design, and the third is for forest forensics. And I do have Eric, who's our curriculum instruction coordinator here, that could answer any of your questions specifically about any of the courses. These have been vetted through the curriculum committee and need approval this evening by the board.
Only question I have is, do we have a teacher to teach them?
Yeah, so these are all elective courses, so all these were proposed by the teachers. And the way elective courses work is it's based on numbers, so it's not 100% that these courses will run. It's if the enrollment is there, and usually the teachers base it off of interest from the kids in a class that's similar. So for example, the forest forensics, he's looking to change field biology into a part 1 and 2 due to some interest from the kids. Is that guaranteed that there's always going to be number 2 running every single semester? No, again, that's going to be based off enrollment. But in order to write the curriculum this semester for next year, it'll go through the approval process here.
Great.
Question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay. I just saw on one of the websites is that the state is required that we post all curriculum by a certain date. Are we prepared to do all that?
Yeah, so right now it's, I had meetings with the department heads and a couple principals last week, and they're testing what we have up there now. So I said, take about a week just to make sure things work. So it should be live on the website. I'm hoping another week. There'll be a disclaimer on there that it's what we have now, and then every week there's more and more coming over. So the process, we used to pay for a curriculum warehouse years ago, I guess. We don't pay for that anymore, but we still have the documents that we had on there. So any curriculum written previously, those documents were pulled from there, but the formatting is, it's not just, hey, here's the way the document went in, it's coming out wonky. So there's a lot of time spent just trying to format just to get them in. So me and Jim Luckenzer, the IT director, has been working on reformatting these, putting them up. So we're focusing on, we do have a bunch of middle school core classes up, and then focusing on as much high school as possible. And like I said, we have a couple of people just testing out, making sure everything looks good. Hopefully go live next week, and then it'll just be a continuous process of keeping uploading those documents.
And my compliments too, because being involved with the cricket, I know it's a big job to get all that done. And if we meet that target, that's a big step forward for us.
Yeah.
And I don't know where I can put this in, but I don't even know how to do it. But I'd like to ask the 2 student board members, since I theoretically volunteered to go to the PTO, which sounds like it's right next to the bathroom project or something like that, is that I would like for each of you to attend a curriculum meeting on a constant basis, and then a policy. Because those are, to me, the most crucial things for you to communicate back to your students. So if you could put that in, and we come back next meeting and say, yay, we're on, or even start beforehand, because it's it'd be a meaty thing for him.
Yeah. Deb, when do you usually have your curriculum meetings? Is it during the day or is it night?
It's at usually at 5:15, 5:30.
Where
On
are
the-
we at with? Is that okay? I guess is what I'm asking?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want it to seem like you absolutely have to do this. It would be nice if we
We take it
did.
away as a
Of course they
board
do.
discussion.
Can we talk about that during curriculum and decide what
Yes.
we're doing
I think
beforehand?
we should discuss it, both committees should discuss it first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, so we'll get it rolling. Let's get back to the new classes. Deb, is this a first read or do you want to vote?
They don't get first reads, they just get voted on.
Okay, we can have a motion? Oh, I'm sorry. We'll do the motion, we'll get it second, and then we'll do discussion, okay?
I'll make it. I'd like to make a motion to approve the mobile apps new class proposal for 25-26. Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the new course, web design, new class proposal 25-26. Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the forced forensic new course proposal 24-25.
Second,
All right, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. All right,
Thank you, Deb. Feel better.
yeah.
Thank you.
I just have a quick question on this new mandate of having curriculum posted. Didn't we always have our, like, the classes, weren't they always online? You could always go see them?
I mean, before I was here, there was we paid for that subscription
Atlas.
curriculum Atlas, which is no longer using.
Okay.
So some older ones, but not
I
all
could have
of
sworn
them
there
are
was like
up
in the
there.
handbook or something, you could go in and see.
Well,
the
that's
courses.
program,
See the
so the program of
studies.
studies
Oh,
is
that's
different.
This is the list, what Vegas I would is actually seeing the curriculum itself.
Oh, what's actually being taught?
Yes, correct.
Oh.
So the program of studies is like a paragraph explanation of what's in the course overall to help when students pick their courses. The curriculum is actual unit by unit. What is taught throughout that unit for the entire course.
Oh, okay.
Was that a state mandate?
Yeah, you're supposed to have it all
That's a
publicly
big undertaking.
available.
It
That's
is.
why it's not 100, it'll be up and then stuff will keep coming. Like there's some courses up there that are taking over an hour just to reformat to get just one course uploaded. So it's time consuming.
The computers are hard pressed.
All right, policy and quality, Nicole?
So we have two policies that are down for a first read tonight. The first one is student discipline policy, and this goes hand in hand with the school climate policy that we just adopted at the end of last year. Anyone has an intention of serving on a student discipline hearing in the future, I encourage you to take a look at the policy, because a couple things have changed and it would be helpful if you do serve in that capacity to be familiar with the policy. The second policy has to do with Connecticut paid sick leave. It's a new law that we have to abide by, so it could possibly have a budgetary impact. So we'll take a look at, ask Howard how much that's actually gonna matter or not.
Well, what it does is just briefly, what it's doing is now that the time is already there for people to utilize, they get up front. I'm just gonna be paraprofessional, they get 12 days up front. However, what the state is now, what they already be able to utilize is in half-day or full-day increments. The state is now saying that 40 hours annual fiscally, every fiscal year, 40 hours, they're allowed to take that in hour increments for any reason whatsoever, basically, is what it comes down to. So we have to, there's no real budget impact other than that, it's gonna be coverage impact is where it's going to be. Because you're gonna have a para or a teacher going and saying, instead of taking a half day, which is easier to cover, you're gonna now have someone going, I'm gonna take an hour. And they're gonna be gone, so you're not gonna be able to get a sub for an hour, so it's gonna be a lot of work for the administrators to manage this, and so. I've spoken to both Shipman and Gooden, we've also spoken to our Pullman and Conley. They say it's horrible legislation. It was poorly written, it's poorly advised, and I know of one district already, the entire board has written a letter to the state, it's Ellington. They've written a letter to their representatives in the state, asking that the state exempt schools out of this. And it's just because it's too onerous to be able to manage everything that's going on, so it's something we have to do. So basically, we are doing it as we're supposed to do. We had to change Frontline to add a new category for Connecticut sick leave. So that people, because we have to track it, there's a tracking portion of it that's required by the employer. So, there's a lot going into it. There's a lot of people working on it. And it's gonna be very hard to manage. But again, I don't necessarily know that there's a direct budget impact, but I have to believe that it's gonna impact the budget somehow, just in coverage alone, trying to find people to cover it. So that's what we'll be working on.
All right, so those are, go ahead, Steve.
Is there regarding that, is there a sentiment from this board around this piece of legislation that there would be a movement to send a letter like Ellington has to our representatives as a board?
I put my name on it.
I would put my name on it. Do we need a vote on that? I'd like, it'd be more impactful from the board versus individuals, but
Would it originate from policy? Or would it originate just at the board level altogether?
I don't know, Nicole, what do you think?
I think it's board level, it's not policy.
I mean, do we need to start it somewhere where it was, where it started from? Or can we just as a board make a motion that, to put together a letter of recommendation / dissatisfaction and the pain and potential operational issues that this causes on boards?
Right, I mean, the biggest, well, there is a financial impact to the new legislation. I think the biggest impact is on operations itself.
Right.
So the law right now allows a teacher, a paraprofessional, a secretary, an administrator at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to say, I'm leaving after the next hour and figure out how you're gonna cover it. We don't hire substitute teachers by the half an hour, by the hour.
No one's gonna show up.
It's not practical. Yeah, the new law requires that we give that person that time off by the hour. And our system is not designed structurally to support that type of absence. And this new law supersedes existing contractual bargaining that we've done with our various associations.
It sounds like you have your author to your letter right now.
Yeah, so the Ellington one was good too.
Yeah, the other one was
Yeah,
I have a copy of that, but sure.
I imagine that Ellington statement is the first of many. And possibly I could envision over the next year plus districts either individually suing the state or a class action lawsuit, try and get this stopped in some capacity. But in the meantime, we have to live with it. It's here. We have to make it available to our staff, but there's a substantial impact on operations of this district. And as people begin to learn how they can use it from a staff perspective, it's gonna have a greater and greater impact. And maybe now while the weather is poor, we're not gonna see that big of an impact, but come the springtime
Yeah.
in June, when the weather's really nice and people say, oh, it's 85 degrees outside and 95 in my classroom, I want to leave now, I think we're gonna see a bigger impact on that. And we don't have the threshold by the law to say, no, I'm sorry, you can't leave now. There's no requirement that individual needs to provide us either being sick. It includes not only being sick, but also from a mental health perspective. All I have to say is I just don't feel like staying in school right now. I'm gonna go home.
They technically just leave to go for like an hour lunch and.
They could.
And you can't ask them what they're doing.
Yeah, advance notice isn't required.
You know, if you're doing that, you can't ask them.
Can't even ask.
It's really gets convoluted because so when it comes to, if they take this off in 3 days, if they take off 3 days, if they combine it all together, hours more than 3 days. So now you're supposed to, FMLA is supposed to kick in, which is federal law, but you still can't ask them to do FMLA paperwork for the first hours because it's not allowed to ask what they're doing with those hours, but you then have to do to be in compliance with FMLA. So being compliant with FMLA, you have to designate it as FMLA, you have to let them know you're designated as FMLA, but you can't ask them why they're doing it, which is normally what you have to do for FMLA. So it's a nightmare for districts,
Right.
it truly is, in managing.
And while we fully support employee rights and that employees have earned, well-earned time off, they do, they deserve this time, they deserve sick and personal time. This is what they've earned this time and they have the right to do so. We're not saying that they don't deserve it. What we're saying is the application of this law gives more from an employee standpoint than we can manage as an employer. And we will currently, right now, today, every existing bargaining contract that we have gives a sufficient amount of sick and personal time to each of the employee groups that we have in place right now. It's not like they don't exist. This law was put into place to help those employees that don't get these days from their employer. We already give our employees a generous amount of sick and personal days. This is above that. It's not giving them more days, but it's giving them greater access to use those now by the hourly, and it's giving them without the need to tell us why they're out.
So procedurally speaking, I think we're a bit hamstrung here, because in order to vote, it has to be on the agenda.
Right.
I mean, we can't amend the agenda because we've already gone and done that, correct? So what I would propose is if we put it on the agenda for the 28th
Maybe look to have a draft.
and have a draft before, so everybody can look at it. And then potentially vote on the 28th.
Yeah, this is only a first read tonight, so we don't have to do anything
Right.
right here and now. Everybody can have a chance to take a look at the policy, read the problems and
Yeah.
go ahead.
We can work in parallel, because although this is a policy, what we're asking is a letter of concern to the State Board of Education and Legislature.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, this policy, while we're asking the board to adopt the policy, the law went into effect into law on January 1st. So we are already operationalizing this new law
Okay.
internally, whether this policy gets voted on 28th. Regardless of this, we are following state statutes.
So we'll put it on the
That's right.
agenda for the 28th.
Yeah.
If you would like, please write a draft.
From review with the superintendent, and we can edit it
Yeah,
as we do.
Did you get the Ellington one? They sent it to
I have
us.
it,
Okay.
yeah, I have it.
I think it's perfect. ChatGPT.
Okay, anything else to go?
The only other thing I'd like to say to our student members is we have a virtual meeting. It's usually the first Thursday of the month. It's a very quick meeting, so if you ever wanted to hop on, you're more than welcome to pop in and just see what we're doing, especially if there's something on the agenda that is interesting to you, okay? But thank you.
Okay, Steve.
I've got a really long update, so, the committee met this evening, we took another run through the proposed budget, the changes, the proposals. Next meeting, as we've been pointing out multiple times, is the 28th, full board with other stakeholders and constituents. We'll continue as a finance committee to look at the deck and ask questions and potentially ask for revisions or clarifications, working up to that point. That's basically all I have.
Thank you, Steve. Are you liaisoning with anyone?
I am liaison with the. Well, I got. Let's see, Festival of Trees went very well. We raised about a little over $7,000 for the charities. So those are being, the checks are being written and sent out. What else do we have? Hold on. A midterm goodie bags will be done this weekend. We've been doing this for years. Parents can buy a goodie bag and the kids get them in their locker or somewhere before midterms and final exams. Apparently kids don't go to their lockers, so they have a hard time finding them, but we're working on figuring that out. We're getting ready to plan our St. Patrick's Day bingo. And then next month starts to talk for all the senior lock-ins and other senior activities, so. That's that.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move to adjourn.
That'll be there.
The discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?